Dude, it's RoboCop. It's one of the best movies ever made.
I know. And it's like even the background that I got, this is the one that I meant to start with, and I lost it somewhere. And I came up with another background that just was similar, but didn't pop like this one did. I kind of like this one.
Is
It's a
that from the
much
video game or is that from an
I
actual art piece?
no, I think it is the video game. At least I'm hoping anyway.
Looks like it to me.
Yeah, which I think that's September release.
September or October. I know I pre-ordered it, just a regular edition, but I don't even know there is a collector's edition, but I ain't popping for it no matter what. I already did my collector's edition for the year.
Yeah, the collector's edition, well, not collector's edition, but the digital upgrade for games are getting to be sparse. Like Evil Dead, you got nothing with it.
I got my Dead Space collector's edition. I'm good.
Oh, whatever. That's cool.
Which, if you're watching, there is an unboxing video on our YouTube channel, and we have officially started our 0 Point review with our first 0 Point topic.
We haven't even got started yet. Damn, my microphone keeps going in and out.
Technological advances.
Yeah, right. I up my tech and I mess up my stuff I already had.
Must be made by OCP.
Omni Computer Products. Yes. I don't think
Better than OPP.
You know me. You know me. I don't know. I'm down with OPP. Yeah, I don't think it was until this viewing that I ever caught that OCP was Omni Computer Products.
Consumer products.
Consumer products. Oh, yeah, that's right, because the computers didn't really have any purpose yet. It was still 1987. I wanted to get a screen grab of the server room and make a note that all the information that could be stored on these servers might hold this picture. Like, there was so much server space that did nothing.
That was computer power of the 80s right there. Our phones can process better than those old server rooms could do.
And then he looks up his own fucking death and he's got a glamour shot for a fucking deceased file.
They
Anyway.
all had glamour shots, even the criminals. Like Clarence Boddicker. It's like, I know that's supposed to be a mugshot, but man, he looks so GQ.
Yeah, like this is the yearbook photo. No, but I loved RoboCop. Did you see this in the theater? I know that's always our first question.
No, I was 9 or so. I first saw this on VHS tape, but I had heard about the movie from friends who had family or parents that were willing to take them to the theaters, and none of my cousins were, but I did know friends who did go to see it. And hey, VHS tape. This is one of the first VHS tapes I ever got.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I think me too. I know I didn't see it in the theater. I was only 7 at the time. But my friend got it. His dad recorded it onto VHS. That was when piracy was first big that way.
Well, it's VCRs and people had HBO or Cinemax, Showtime, whatever it was. I mean, hell, that's how I saw like Night of the Comet, and I saw like the Wraith. You know, I got it from my Aunt Mary, who put it all on VHS tape. Then eventually my dad had satellite, so I got a bunch of movies off of that from when I'd go visit them. Hey, that was the way to go back then. That's how you got your own personal collection. And hell, even Mystery Science Theater, their whole tagline back then was circulate the tapes, VHS tapes.
Yeah, I do kind of miss VHS tapes. Like,
I still have some.
It was always fun. Like, is this going to be the wedding photos or the kid being born? Or did we put Star Wars on top of that? Like, yes.
True. True.
Or the Wraith. Yeah, or the Wraith was another one that was like dope in that time.
Yeah.
But RoboCop, my friend Mike had. And Mike is a rather machismo dude, but RoboCop really fucked him up at that age. And it was because of the scene where Emil gets the toxic
Oh,
the corrosive all over him and starts melting. And he's telling
yep.
me, "You don't want to see this, Kev. This guy gets this acid on him, he starts melting." And it's like, Mike, dude, I've seen a candle burn. And then we watch it when I spent the night at his house, and that was like the coolest shit I'd ever seen at that point that wasn't in a Freddy movie. Like it was that was like latex at its finest.
Shit, I'd say the most gruesome scene in the movie is the hand being shot off scene by comparison.
Well, see, that's
That's
that.
usually what freaks me the hell out from when I was a kid. That's always a scene that always made me went, this was just way over the top. I'm like, splat bug on a windshield. That's how he goes out.
Oh, Emil, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all green and red hue over Clarence's face,
Yep.
and like you kind of want to like turn the windshield wipers off to scrape your friend off the fucking front of the
Like, I gotta
car.
see what I'm doing trying to kill somebody here, bro.
He was truly scary in that scene, like walking up to his partner. I can't think of his name. Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, gonna get shit on for that one, I'm sure.
Help me.
Yeah, his whole
Get away from me, man.
yeah, the tongue kind of eroded away, and he stops being able to talk, and then gets blown up, not run over,
Oh,
blown up by a car.
he went explodey.
Yeah, and the one thing that I never really stopped to think and ask myself, why was there toxic waste in a steel mill?
Toxic waste from the steel mill, from probably the purification process or something that they were doing.
I could
I
see
mean,
that.
just a guess. I actually don't know.
Or if it was like mercury or something. I don't know. But
That's a lot
that
of
fucked
mercury.
him up. And it was a selling point for me as a kid. Like, it wasn't just the glory of what RoboCop looks like and the fact
Right.
that nothing can hurt him just about. Like the movie had like a style to it, a horror style that wasn't horror, but it was. And this movie had so much of that they gave it an X rating. They didn't have NC-17 back then. It was just X, and they cut out like what 30 minutes almost of just violence to get it an R rating.
Well, the more key scenes are some of the Murphy getting shot up and whatnot scenes. So yeah, it has more to do with like that, but I thought it was more like 30 seconds. I didn't think it was like 30 minutes though.
No, it was combined. It was about 20 to 30 minutes of extra violence. And
Mm.
not a whole lot of people really know how good the special effects were because how much of them got fucking cut out.
Right.
Like it showed this entire scene that I counted. They shot 54 fucking rounds into him and managed to miss every single major organ.
Until the last shot. Then they shot him right in the friggin' head.
Yeah, and it was a great like 180 scene going from Alex's face around to the back of his head, and Clarence shoots his brain out from behind it.
Yeah.
And the I'd say animatronic for lack of a better term. It was definitely an animatronic, obviously, but it was much better than what you saw in Terminator just a couple years before, where he had to pull the eye out. Like it looked really fucking gross. Or to your point, the hand exploding, and he pulls it up, and there's nothing but like a bleeding stump that's just oozing out blood.
Right.
So much of that got cut out. And then another piece was this here.
Yeah.
Ed empties his entire payload into Mr. Kinney. And this went on for 10, 15 seconds, maybe 15's pushing it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot where it's like he just kept shooting him when he was on the table. He
Yeah, you could
flies.
tell. Yeah.
He's smoking. The guns on Ed 209 are smoking. It was just gory as shit. But what was it? Criterion that put out the entire
The
version?
initial release of some of the cut footage was Criterion. That's why I thought it was like 30 seconds, because all I remembered was like the Murphy scene and this scene were the two big ones that they added back in. And at the time, the footage was rough, but it was called like a extended cut or whatever. And the newer Arrow sets, you can still get the 4K, the Blu-ray. I don't know about like the limited edition sets, but you can still get like the standard release sets. And this is the Blu-ray. I have the 4K as well. It's staying
Oh,
in my
wow.
collection. I'm a RoboCop nut. We could talk about home video at some other point, but like the disc one has the director's cut, which has everything restored, and it looks fantastic when I was watching the other night. And there's a whole bunch of extras and whatnot, but it doesn't look as rough as it did when I first saw that on Criterion, which I have that DVD in my collection in storage back here somewhere.
I've got mine here just because it will turn
Yeah,
out
with the gray. Yeah,
with the metallic. And
I like that. That's beautiful.
it is. It looked like it was engraved, like stamped into the metal.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't a whole lot of special features. I mean, there was more than what you'd get most times, but it was just that extra scenes, the extra amount of time that was just really worth the $40 that I had to spend on a DVD.
Yep,
And
that was one of the more expensive ones I ever purchased back at the time, except for a couple other limited edition things for say like Hellraiser and Halloween.
Oh, that's right. I remember the Halloween one was that big, thick black box set that had 2 tapes in it, didn't it?
2 tapes. I have that in storage at my dad's. There was one that came with like a snow globe, which is over here on my other shelf. And there was also special tins that Anchor Bay released. So I kept hoping like something like that would happen with RoboCop. It would get some like ultra beautiful mega edition, and it just never came. Like RoboCop almost screams like steelbook or special tin or something. And they did put out a steelbook for that, and it looks nice, but I don't have that.
This movie doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
Fucking awesome.
It's a very smart movie.
Yes.
The movie, no matter how many times you try to redo it, they cannot recapture the lightning in the bottle that was the first movie.
Nope.
I mean, yes, the first movie is about RoboCop. It is Alex Murphy. But there's an animalistic feeling to the movie where it's very cutthroat. The whole concept is like a corporation trying to get a contract for a law enforcement agency. So they have to destroy old Detroit, build a new city on top of that. Then they get their fucking Ed 209 or RoboCop in the end. And I just about zero pointed myself. Oh, the anima of it. Everything was dog eat dog. Like there's the scene where I want to say terrorist. He wasn't that. It was before we called terrorists. The guy that went postal and held up City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
When he gets thrown out of the window, the news cameras, you see them focusing on him and then just go straight down until you hear the thud. And that was probably the most telling scene in the movie of saying, this is what we are as a society. It wasn't looking away and shielding your eyes. It was making sure you got up close and personal on it.
Did you get that on camera?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm dead.
Do it again.
Take 7. He didn't fall flat enough. Poor stunt guys.
His eye didn't hit the rake.
He didn't get impaled well enough.
But then there was so much other stuff to it that it starts out with the news and the Heart Research Center, all these commercials.
The satire nature of a lot of this was going on.
Yeah, and it like interrupts all these pivotal moments. And
I wouldn't say it interrupts. I feel like it accentuates more than interrupts.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I say interrupt, it's like that special news broadcast at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what I meant. It was just odd. And like you said, it was satire to a large degree. The 6000 XUX is funny as shit. But the down at the bottom, 8.2 miles per gallon.
I'll take 2.
And Nukem, I was always really sad that there was never a game of Nukem. Battleship with a fucking holographic mushroom cloud. That was just cool.
Dude, I'm
And
telling you, I am surprised nobody has tried to do a Kickstarter or even a fan project to do that. Maybe we should get on that.
I like it. I mean, Nukem just, it sounds fun.
Make a graphic design for a t-shirt, right? Nukem on it with like the exploding mushroom cloud and the game underneath. If we could make a little graphic there.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if you could really see it. Let me get it out of the way. It's like the daughter and the dad are high-fiving each other.
And the mom's like, yeah, we got boned.
So much for Fallout, kids.
The true family game where you nuke each other.
But that was really the feeling of the movie. And it was all very dog eat dog. RoboCop, the very principle was Bob Morton takes the legs out of Dick Jones with the Ed 209 fuck up and says, well, I've got RoboCop ready to go. So it was his very origin was dog eat dog. And they really get away from that after the second movie, I think.
After the second one, yeah. Some people would argue the second one gets away from that. I disagree.
Yeah.
The third one absolutely goes a completely different direction.
Yeah. They continue on a lot of themes from part one into part two.
Yes.
With the bigger and better, and two robots can't coexist at OCP at the same time because that's not cost effective.
Right.
And there's just a lot of heavy shit to that. Then you get into the drugs and a child being the drug runner and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like they took the Predator school of thought of, okay, the first one was pretty much a classic. Let's take the second one and put crack in it, and let's dial it up on the crazy. And that's basically what they did. I mean, they went completely bonkers with the second one.
Crack. May I just say, Clarence's fucking little toot thing with the fucking cocaine, their aerosol cocaine going up his fucking nose. I was like, they didn't have that when I was in kid. The 90s. Fuck.
You're a bad drug user. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Although I did mix cocaine with my wine because of this movie. Once.
Hey, but if it got you the two hot models, hey.
No. And the two hot models, that was great. That was Bob's kind of like swan song. He's doing lines with these two really cute models, and you think there's going to be a whole lot of sex, but it's been my experience in life. Let's do the math here. Two chicks plus cocaine is not RoboCop, it's no-go cock. You can't really do much for very long with a whole lot there. But that was great. Like that was the American dream in the 80s. So it's like Bob got it, and then it got him in the end.
This segment now sponsored by Blue Chew. Thank you, Blue Chew, for sponsoring us today.
Blue Chew.
They are not sponsoring us.
Nobody sponsors us.
Why would they?
For entertainment like no-go cock.
They go or no go.
Oh, my best friend. I hated him forever. Still hate him. He killed me one night. Killed me basically impotent on first date with the girl, and that I'll never forgive him for that shit.
He's supposed to be a wingman, and they jump out of the plane and let you crash.
Yeah, there was no wings at all. No wings, no parachute, no boat to fly out of like Indiana Jones. It sucked. But anyway, 0 pointed again. Yeah. The dog eat dog thing with Bob and the girls. That's one of my favorite scenes. Again, it's going to sound really crass, but fucking Clarence walking in and his line of bitches leave. was so fucking like powerful. The way he said it, like it was a threat. There was no question of what's going to happen if I don't leave. And then him plugging Bob in the knees.
He was so cold and badass. Like, you watch RoboCop and you're like, hey, wait a minute, isn't that the dude from the 70s show? And after 2 minutes, you'll be like, no, this motherfucker's mean. That other dude is just a I cannot do that show at all. I am, Kurtwood, dude, it's RoboCop for me with you. This is you at your finest. Yes, you got paid and you still get paid for 70 show. That's awesome. This is you. This is Clarence. You're my boy.
Yes. And again, he doesn't get enough credit for being as scary as he was.
You need for your hero to be as good as they're only as good as the villain that they are facing. This is why some movies struggle with this pure concept of how, if you want to really send your hero out as a top hero, your villain better not be, the Mad Hatter. It better be the freaking Joker, for like a Batman. You need your top tier villains to play against. You can't just be playing with the C and D listers. And RoboCop, you think Dick Jones is the main bad guy. He may be the boss of Clarence to a point, but in their scenes between Dick and Clarence, there's a lot of, I'm only working with you for money and power. You're just working for power. And so this is just mutually beneficial, but you get the impression the second it doesn't become mutually beneficial, Clarence is more than happy to put a cap on that guy.
Oh, fuck yes.
And so there's a great tension and chemistry on that level. Like, every character in this movie, there are different levels of chemistry and subplots going on, and everybody plays off everybody. I have down in my notes, this movie was cast impeccably.
Yeah.
Like, to a T. There is not one casting choice in here you're like, I don't know if I like that character or that actor doing this. No, everybody was, this is one of the most perfectly cast movies, period. Writing, whatever. I'll go overall super quick right here. I think this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. I think very highly of this movie. The writing is great. The direction is great. Everything's great. I mean, does CGI hold up today? No, they used some stop motion, but I freaking love it. I don't give a shit. This is one of the best movies, period, of all time.
The special effects, if you could enjoy Clash of the Titans or anything that's Ray Harryhausen, this will be acceptable for you.
More than acceptable.
Yeah, it's not like watching CGI in the late 90s that was absolutely dreadful.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Warlock.
This worked. I mean, they've got green screen movement, they've got stop motion, and they add that to practical effect. I mean, they really had, to a point, a great big model of Ed 209. Certain points, Peter Weller's in the suit, and other parts he's not. Like when he's driving, he's not wearing any pants or the legs. So, I mean, they were able to blend a lot with this. And it was pivotal. I mean, I keep saying the anima of this movie was the 80s, and it was things that was new, things that you've never seen before. It was about decadence. And this image here, where we first see RoboCop, like as a whole, was, I think this defines part of 80s cinema. I really think this image does. The fact that he's walking in and the way he's displayed during that crime is fucking awe-inspiring. It really was.
It was impressive.
The neon lights, how shiny he fucking was, the bullets just popping off him. And may I just say, that scene really confused me as a kid, because at 7 years old, I didn't know fuck me was a thing in life. Like, God, I fucking hate my life. So when this guy's like shooting at RoboCop, angrily telling him to fuck him, I'm like, Is that how you ask when you're an adult?
Oh, young, naive, young Kevin Smith. I think that was like you said, that scene is absolutely tremendous. Like the old people with the store, and he's pointing at her, and he's like, "Back the fuck off! Open that safe. You got to the count of 1, 2." Doors open, and he turns around. He's like, "Oh fuck me!" Yeah. And then he's shooting, and he's screaming "fuck me" because he doesn't know what the hell's going on or what the hell he's looking at, and the thing just won't stop. It's like you're facing off with Michael Myers, and you're like shooting at him and he ain't stopping. It's like, oh fuck. And then he gets jizzacked. He gets fucking decked the fuck out or clotheslined.
Yeah, it looked like he was clotheslined. His feet went up over his head.
Yeah, I know that at times I'm like, I think I've gone back and forth throughout the years. I mean, I should probably actually study this scene to see what happens, but like a clothesline sends the dude fucking flying and knocks him out. Think, have a good night. These are bitches.
And he was cool, like the way he would at first, the way he would interact when he was still working on his program.
Yeah.
What would you say to kids at home? Stay out of trouble. It was always very like cut and dry things, scripted things. Like I know we get to say the word every week. The attempted rape scene here.
And the incredible nut shot.
Yes.
This is where I first learned about nut shots. And I mean literally shot.
I am more proud of this picture than any other still that I've ever taken. The look on her face, like she's Neo trying to dodge a bullet and hitting him in the dick.
Well, it went through her skirt. So, and he got shot. He lets her go. And she's like, what the fuck just happened?
Oh.
And boy, that look of anguish sells it on the dude's face. That's completely tremendous. It's like any dude would agree. Like, if you got getting kicked there or hit there is one thing, getting shot there makes you want to go, oh.
With a 50 caliber gun that goes in 3-round bursts.
Well, he got all 3 shots.
And for 30 years almost, this scene has made me laugh, and I can't help it. Excuse me, makes me burp too. Yeah, I love this scene, and unfortunately, it's another one of those things that's actually kind of poetic. Not the crime itself that's happening, but that the crime was happening right under the Delta City sign.
Right.
That was this promise of hope and light and future, when really on the ground, it's Gotham City. So, and an OCP, like the League of Assassins, wants to just pave the whole thing over and make
pretty
it
much. They want to raise the city to the ground.
Yeah, build right on top of it, literally, because they're going to own all that. It's like Lex Luthor making his own new coastline. It's very similar, only it's a corporation doing it. And we do see that throughout the rest of history. I mean, that was way abundant in the 80s.
Yeah.
And really, it never stopped.
No, never really did. You know, this is also one of those storylines that never really carried through any of the sequels, really. As far as like following through on like the promise of the foreshadowing of Delta City is the main goal of OCP. Yes, they reference it and they kind of do stuff to it, but they never really build towards it as like the city as a character itself.
Did they do that? Did they not mention it at all in the second one? I don't remember.
They did, but we're going to be rewatching that for next week. And so I will be updating my notes at that time. So maybe my assessment's incorrect, but I know Delta City's still kind of like in the background of things that is mentioned, but it's not really at the forefront of, hey, you know, we're building this and we got to get rid of crime, that. And I don't know, it just feels like some of the elements that were introduced in this movie are lost through each of the entries that come after this.
Yeah, because what was it that Bob Morton said? They predict the end of crime in Old Detroit within 40 days.
Yep.
And like, wow, that's a hell of a production line. But they don't have their production line going. And that's why really at the beginning, is it up top? Yes. This scene here, I wanted to grab this just because, like, this is a look of a dad just fucking hating his life. But really, what the old man's really upset about was not the fact that Ed 209 killed somebody or that they have to do a payout for that. He's pissed off because the humidity for Delta City is not ready when it's supposed to be, and that like puts the city back. Has nothing to do with the robot itself, nothing to do with Kenny. It's all Delta City.
Yeah, you just put a delay in our plans.
Yeah.
Thank you, you asshole.
Yeah, that's fucked up though.
Yep.
But I mean, that is the bottom line. It is cheaper to do payouts than it is to stop and wait or start from scratch, for lack of a better term.
Welcome to life in the big city.
Yeah, right. Which old Detroit is very close to Gotham City. I'd love to see Batman in old Detroit. Or RoboCop in Gotham.
Didn't they ever do a Batman versus RoboCop? Or am I just thinking of RoboCop and Dread or RoboCop and Terminator? I know RoboCop and Terminator were a video game. I actually played that, so.
I don't think I ever got to. Maybe once.
I had it on Game Gear. Yes, I was a Sega guy.
Cool. Actually saw one of those today. But I don't know if he was or not. I don't recall.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Or at least him and Dread would have been an interesting dynamic.
I had the Dread video game, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was a rail shooter.
Was that the Stallone one?
Yes, I believe it was. And I was like, oh man, it's Judge Dredd. This is gonna be cool.
He is the law.
I was not the law. Not at all. I was like, this game sucks. Oh, and just really quick, can we just point out, we'll get a little closer up version. This was the other picture that I got. So Lois Lane can't figure out that Clark Kent is Superman. And all he's got is just like glasses. Officer Lewis sees just this and knows that that's fucking Alex Murphy, her partner. Like, she had 90% less to work with and still got it.
Well, that's how you don't treat your audience like a bunch of morons in a movie. That's something where they lost in translation. Yeah, I know 70s and 80s Superman, kind of different. Suspension of disbelief, but like, this is how you don't treat your audience like a bunch of morons and how you really establish credibility in your narrative. You don't treat them like morons. And she was picking up on other things that tipped her off, like, wait, who is that? And then she saw the gun twirling and getting put away in the holster, and she's like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And there's like one other thing, like he drives off in the Taurus and it hits the sparks with the exhaust going up the ramp again. And she's like, son of a bitch, is that Murphy? And so it's not like she wasn't putting two and two together. It wasn't just she sees the face and that's Murphy. It's like, hey, wait a minute. She sees the face and other things are adding up. And it's like, whoa.
Well, if Lois doesn't fucking reach detective by the third movie, I'm going to end up being pissed.
Well, she grows her hair out longer.
Oh, is she actually even in the third movie?
Yeah.
Cool. I like Nancy Allen. She's cool.
And just for the record, we're not covering RoboCop 3. We're going into the RoboCop remake instead. That was something we decided along with our Patreon supporters.
Yes. Basically, we're going with the option of better the devil you know. So,
and we got a Michael Keaton in there. So, hey, we're going to get a Batman reference going.
Sam Jackson, too. I don't know if there's any motherfuckers, but I think Sam Jackson's in it, too, isn't he?
I honestly don't remember. But if there's not a motherfucking snake on this motherfucking plane, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Robo turds. Robo snakes.
Robo fangs for snakes on a cop.
Snakes on a cop.
Oh man, we're gonna go down a bad way that way if we keep coming up with names for a RoboCop with snakes movie with Sam Jackson.
Well, since we're on the subject.
Oh no.
This guy's urination method is the white rabbit. He's very late for a very important date and doesn't have time for the two shapes.
He's got 8-year-old problems that he never grew out of.
That was some shit, though. I like all kidding aside, that scene was fucked up. Like, it's his first trip that you know of into the executive bathroom. He's having a good conversation and like a congratulatory thing, patting himself on the back. And there's Dick Jones taking a shit in the stall behind him.
And then suddenly he's got a meeting and he's got to get out of there.
Yeah.
Which means he couldn't finish the stream.
Or cross it. That was a fucked up thing, though. I that's worse than that. He's right behind me, isn't he? Because then they had to wash their hands.
He did not wash his hands. He left the bathroom.
No, he just ran his hands through fucking Morton's hair.
No, I'm talking Mr. Peaspot over here.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he basically went right out the door right away. He didn't even wash his hands.
He'll wipe them on the secretary outside.
Bob washed his hands though, just so he could be fresh for the ladies later, and cocaine too.
The cocaine too. Was that the first time in a movie that they ever showed a disc being used for video?
As far as my memory goes, I don't know if it's legitimately the first time they used a disc in a movie, but I remember them doing a disc in, I know it's 93, but Demolition Man.
Yeah.
That's something I remember from that, but whether that's truly the first one or not, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I could have Googled it. I probably should have beforehand, but it was just something that kind of caught my eye.
Yeah, there was a lot of like neat tech things going on in this that you think about, and dates itself very, very well. It could have been like a video CD. It could have been, hell, it would have been funny if it was a laser disc. That way somebody would ask, well, what the hell size disc is that? Isn't that a record? No, it's a laser disc. No, but this thing was more of like a CD, DVD sort of thing. So
yeah. And it was really kind of neat. And I was kind of like, well, shit, they do have DVDs in the future. Far out. Because most of the shit that we watch, the future tech is not that cool, as we saw with their server room.
Right.
No. But I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. That was the first time I ever saw a DVD. I 0-pointed again. I'm just going to call it. I 0-pointed.
Yep. Oh man, what a fun movie. Now, how often do you watch this, or did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say when we get back to the remake, to bring up those commercials again, because that's important on the commercial.
Well, commercials are in the second one as well.
Yes, but not in the third or in the remake, and that's one of the reasons why the remake failed. It had no enema. How often do I watch this? Since I've had kids, maybe once or twice since Hunter's been born.
Okay.
And that's just like randomly catching it. It's not actively seeking it out. And that's unfortunate because it is a movie worth seeking out. It's just not something like my family watches.
Yeah. I try and watch this at least a couple of times a year. It's one of my go-tos. It's always been in the top 10 of my favorite movies of all time. So
yeah, and it's a wonderful IP. I'm definitely getting the video game when it comes out. And if I'm correct, Peter Weller does the voice work for RoboCop too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got him for that too. And there's a great set of line of toys. I got the RoboCop NECA. I'm wanting to get the Ed 209 that's out there, but it's a little pricey for me. So I got that on display around my desk here, which is one of my prized. I don't have too many figures, but that's one of my prizes right there.
That is epic. I would like an Ed 209 statue or what have you. Like, he is one of the cooler looking monsters, I guess.
Ed 209 is freaking phenomenal. I've always thought that was one of the coolest machines ever.
Yeah, he was creepy, just like foreboding looking, but he had a lion's roar and a pig squeal when he was pissed off.
Or flipped over down the stairs on its back, not knowing exactly what to do.
Yeah, which the Misties would be like horribly pissed off if we didn't say, why did they create a robot that couldn't go downstairs? Thank you,
Probably because
Crow.
they thought he could blow up the stairs and just drop and land on his feet. I don't know. It's like a freaking turtle. You put it on its back and it doesn't know what to do.
Exactly. The jetpack will be here next Tuesday, but until then,
And it'll show up in RoboCop 3. So if you wanted the jetpack for RoboCop, that's the movie you're looking for right there.
for the first time I saw a superhero fly and went, that's not for me.
Right. Head 209. Well, one of my favorite things is the way this, however, they modulated the voice for him. You now have 20 seconds to comply.
Yeah.
Like that had some good bass to it. And it really put the amount of fear into you. Like, man, that machine's gonna be bad. And when he goes up against RoboCop, that's gonna be awesome. And so whenever they interacted, there was always this feeling of shit's about to go down, bro.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's RoboCop looks really frail on a level of comparison.
Right.
And Ed doesn't know when to stop. Like it literally doesn't know when to stop because it's got that glitch.
It doesn't know how to hear a gun drop. And
Yeah.
that's what led to the one guy dying is he didn't hear it. He didn't hear it drop.
Oh. I thought it was just like a glitch and just went, tough shit. I told you to stop.
No, he never heard the gun drop. That's the reason why he lit the dude up.
I like that scene in the fucking the bathroom where Jones is talking about that he had military contracts already drafted up, spare parts for 25 years. Who cared if it worked or not? Like, oh shit, that sounds just like Buick.
Well, if you look at it from a different point of view, if Bob had never stepped in, we never would have gotten RoboCop. What really would have happened if, this was just a setback and they actually did put this in implementation and didn't give a shit about the programming? Like, what if they just went ahead and did Ed 209 and we never got RoboCop? So Bob never had that idea or, championed that idea. None of this would have happened. And nobody would have died. Well, except for the guy in the boardroom.
Mr. Kenny, but nobody needs Kenny. No, you bastard!
You killed Kenny.
I don't know. There'd probably be a lot of like company payouts.
Yeah.
That but it wouldn't be as fun. Although I would sit and watch Ed 209 shoot stuff for a good long period of time.
That would be pretty interesting. Or if they had bothered to in a later sequel, have them switch sides. Like one actually gets reprogrammed to actually help out RoboCop against some other different mega machine that was a problem.
That would be cool.
That would have been pretty dope. But I also like the big gun at the very end with Ed 209. You see it panning over. I see you, RoboCop. And then boom.
He pulls the Barrett out. That was fucking glorious.
That was so epic. Like you knew like that bullet was gonna do some damage, but you didn't know how much to an Ed 209. And boy, he blew that fucker up.
I lost my shit when I saw Burt carry the Barrett in Tremors. Like
Yep.
I was so excited because it's the gun from RoboCop. Does it blow up everything? Pretty close.
Yeah, because if you watch Tremors too, it's like boom, boom. Oh my god, I didn't know. I didn't know. It goes through walls, it goes through Jeeps, it goes through everything.
I got a screen grab of it, but I didn't make the still. Emil blows up a titty bar that's open.
Yep.
It's like, all those hookers, no!
I like it. Man, this movie is so goddamn quotable too.
It is, and that is one of the best quotes from it, because yeah, that is kind of what my brother said that quite a few times when shooting. I like it. It's a thrill.
Oh yeah, I'd buy that for $1. That's about probably the biggest line that gets probably quoted the most.
Yeah, and probably needs to get quoted more. I don't know what it is.
I use that GIF quite often. So
yeah, like I don't need to know what it is. Like Benny Hill for the future doesn't matter. It's just funny as shit. Anyway, but honestly, I think that is all I got on this one. I've got no more slides left.
You don't need a slide to talk about RoboCop. There's always something to talk about with RoboCop, whether it's what they're doing now with it, what they did in sequels, the fact they did a cartoon series on this show, and they did a live action TV show, which is going to be our next podcast episode following Firefly, which comes out on Wednesday. So if you are interested in that, but they definitely tried to make a franchise out of this, and you can only look so far. You got to look at the first RoboCop right here, the classic RoboCop that created everything.
I'm just going to step aside for a second. Get out of the way there.
Another dick joke from Kevin. You're welcome.
I'm sorry. I thought I didn't think I had any more.
You might need a towel, bro.
The Roboner blaster.
Well, she gave him a kiss.
Yeah, what did she think was going to happen? They installed it.
Yep. It's all machine. Doesn't get tired. Stays hardened as long as you need it to. He's a machine.
It just needs to be well oiled here and there.
Yep. Lube it up.
Well, all right then. Speaking of lubing that shit up, we're going to see what happens when Murphy fucking gets to see his family next week.
Yep, and when another psychotic druggie gets put into a machine, and what happens from there. And a movie my mom took me to, and I'll give you the fun story about that.
I want to hear that when we get there.
Absolutely. So thank you for everybody for tuning in. This is 0 Point Reviews with Jeff and Kev. And hey, if you are a Patreon supporter like Chad and Skeeter, or you want to be one, head on over to patreon.com/SunsAndShadowsCast. We have some behind the scenes content, and we put out early access to a lot of our content. So if you want to get to these videos sooner, that's the place to go. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in 20 seconds. You will comply. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at SunsAndShadowsCast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.